Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to NJ Thrive Small Business Webinars. Today is Thursday, May 2nd, and you are attending one of our weekly webinars created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. My name is Guzman. I'm a consultant here at NJSBDC, which stands for New Jersey Small Business Development Centers. We are a network and a statewide program powered by the SBA, Small Business Administration, and partners to help small businesses in New Jersey with three main things. Those things are no cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, just like this webinar that you're attending, and exclusive small business resources. While I go over and introduce ourselves, our network, our program, please feel free to go in the chat. Let us know where you're from, what you do, what your small business is about, any socials that you'd like to share for people to visit, spotlight your small business. I see a lot of hellos. We have a good audience today, so feel free to network. This is our best chance to network through the webinar. So go in and say hello and share with everybody what you do. On the map that you see here, that's the state of New Jersey, of course, and you see little SBDC logos, and that's where our 10 regional centers are located. So our 10 regional centers service some of our counties. So whether it may be one, but some locations service multiple counties. So if you are a small business here in New Jersey or you're a resident here in New Jersey, feel free to check out NJSBDC.com and find out where our 10 regional centers are located. And if there are any events or you'd like to speak to someone and make an appointment, you can definitely do so through our website. Now, April 28th to May 4th, we are celebrating National Small Business Week. And this year in 2024, the theme of National Small Business Week is Building on America's Small Business Boom. So if you are an existing small business, happy National Small Business Week to you. If you are an aspiring entrepreneur, we're so glad that you could join us. We are always here to support you, and we always appreciate your support in return. So thank you for joining us. Now, a lot of things are happening, a lot of events, a lot of webinars have been happening in support of National Small Business Week. So if you have missed out on some, there will be recordings later, but throughout the state and throughout nationwide, many webinars and workshops and trainings and things like that have happened this past week. On the agenda that we have for today, we have a couple of headlines that I'd like to share. Then we have our presentation from our speakers for whom you are joining us today, and we'll have our Q&A session after. So these are the small businesses headlines of the week. I will go through them very briefly, and all the links for these will be shared in the chat, so you can view them on your own time. So the first article that we picked up is from Newsweek, published just this week, or April 30th. And the headline read, Small Businesses in Crisis as Rising Numbers Unable to Pay Rent. And apologies to pick up with a little scary sounding headline, but it's important to showcase this. So a significant number of small businesses across the nation are struggling to pay rent due to skyrocketing costs. A recent study that found companies report published on Friday, which is last week, found that 43%, which is nearly half of small businesses renters in the US, were unable to pay their rent in full and on time in the month of April. Such a delinquency rate has not been reported in the US since March 2021. So that sounds a little scary, but the thing with this is that this is for renters. If you own your store, that's not an issue. And then the article goes into some key things about what is happening in the small business community, how it can be helped. So for assurance, though, we definitely have an article from NJEDA, or it's called Small Business Lease Grant. So this is something that the small businesses in New Jersey can apply for. So let's see. Small Business Lease Grant supports the growth and success of small businesses and nonprofits by providing grant funding to cover a portion of lease payments for businesses and nonprofits leasing new or additional space. So that's definitely, if you are a small business struggling to pay your rent, this is definitely a program that you want to check out. All right, next is a press release from the SBA Small Business Administration. One of the key resources that you as a small business should definitely keep in mind of and should definitely be checking out every week, every 2 weeks. There's always headlines about new programs or new opportunities. This one talks about Biden-Harris administration announces a rule to increase economic opportunity for returning citizens. New rule will make it easier for returning citizens to start and run a business, creating economic opportunity and reducing recidivism. All right. What are the rules? What's the rule? All right. So this will remove restrictions on SBA loan programs that currently prevent many returning citizens, including those on parole and probation, from being eligible for SBA-backed loans to start or grow a business. That's definitely good news. And studies show that entrepreneurship can reduce recidivism for unemployed formerly incarcerated individuals by as much as 30%. And employment rate for formerly individuals is about 27%. And all right, so new rule will not have any negative impact on the loan repayment process. For more information, check out the link that's there. And last, we have this press release from NJEDA, New Jersey Economic Development Authority. If you know the topic of today's webinar, that you definitely know that everyone is in for a treat because our speakers are from NJEDA today. And one of the press releases that we're sharing this week is that NJEDA to open applications for 2024 NOL program, NOL program. And what this is 2024 business tax certificate transfer program, commonly known as the net operating loss program, on Wednesday, May 1st. So that opened yesterday. And the application will start opened yesterday. It is closing on Thursday, June 30th at 11:59. There is an informational webinar on May 9th at noon, and you can register at this link here. All right, so we'll have our speakers talk more about the programs. I just went over them very briefly, and the links have been shared in the chat. Some housekeeping rules that we would like you to adhere to, our audience to keep in mind. So if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box that is right next to the chat box. All of the questions that you put in the Q&A box will be addressed by our panelists, our speakers at the end in our Q&A session. If you'd like to receive the slides that our speakers present, you'll have to finish a quick survey. And that is just feedback on how we're doing, any topics that you'd like to see more of in webinars, things like that, and you'll receive them. It's a Google slide. It's a Google form. When you submit it, you'll receive the slide in the link form of the submission. All right, so webinar is being recorded and it will be available on our YouTube channel, as well as our video library page that is also being shared in the chat. That is quite enough from me. We have our speakers for Grow Your Small Business with NJEDA Grants and Loans. We have Kathy Guzman and Michelle Osorio. So for NJEDA Small Business Liaisons, that's their title. And I'd like to welcome Kathy and Michelle. Thank you so much for joining us today. The stage is yours. Please go ahead and share your screen.
Terrific. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to USMA and the Small Business Development Center for inviting us here today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Does everybody see that? Michelle, give me the thumbs up.
We're able to see it.
We're good.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so today we're going to talk about grants and financing for small businesses, and happy Small Business Week to everybody. So here's a quick agenda. We're going to do a high-level overview of the NJEDA, super high level. We're going to review the 3 grant programs. Michelle is going to provide a high-level overview of business banking and capital access fund, and then we're going to do Q&A. So here we are. My colleague Michelle is with me today, and we are both small business liaisons with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. Before I joined the EDA, I owned a small marketing agency, and my clients were all small businesses. Michelle has supported thousands of business owners throughout her career, both in English and in Spanish. And her bilingual skills have enabled her to support so many first-generation business owners. Michelle and I are both absolutely passionate about sharing resources with small business owners, and that's why we're so happy to be here with you today. And not just small business owners, entrepreneurs, people getting ready to take that journey, and people who are already there and want to grow their business. That being said, we each cover 7 counties. Okay, we work really hard. We talk a lot. But we can't get to every, she's laughing, we can't get to every small business owner, no matter how hard we try. So everybody on this call, if you can help us, right? Even if what we're talking about is not relevant to you, I bet you know somebody that it is relevant to. So please feel free to share this information, share our contacts, share it with your peers, with the local business community, because really our challenge is getting the word out to everybody who can use these programs. There's ample funding in these programs. We're just trying to get the word out to everybody that can use them, that they're there, and that they should apply for the programs. So thank you for being here today. We really appreciate it. So I'm just going to give you a high-level overview about the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. So we are the state's principal agency for driving economic growth. We are a state agency, and we are part of your state government. Our goals at a high level are creating good paying jobs, fostering innovation and sustainable economic growth, providing equitable access to opportunity, building strong communities, and growing the economy in New Jersey. Here's some of our different sectors. There's about 42 different programs across the categories listed here. These are traditional tax credit programs, loans, and grants. Let me give you a couple examples. So under strategic industry support, that our strategic industries at the EDA are tech, life sciences, offshore wind, clean energy, transportation, advanced manufacturing, film, non-retail food and beverage. So there's lots of different categories. Just wanted to give you sort of a broad idea of what we have. I did see a few people in the chat that had some tech businesses and tech startups. Our innovation team has innovation office hours, and that's a great place for anybody in the tech space just to start learning about our tech programs. So Michelle and I work in community development. I think it's really important that small business services is under community development because, as you all know, strong communities need strong, healthy, vibrant small businesses. So we're going to move on and we're going to talk about the grant programs. Okay, so these are grants. These are money that a business gets to keep. So the most important thing to know about the small business grant programs at the New Jersey Economic Development Authority is that there is ample funding in them for 2024. They are non-competitive. So that means if you meet the requirements, you get the funding, and applications are accepted on a rolling basis. Some programs are open to both small businesses and nonprofits, and there is one program that's even open to home-based businesses. So we're going to jump in. So here's a summary of the programs we're going to talk about today. If a business or nonprofit is eligible, they can apply to more than one program. Okay, and that also does include some of our other programs. A lot of times you can stack programs across the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. We call it stacking, but it means applying for more than one program. But for these small business programs specifically, you can apply for more than one program. To be eligible for any of the programs, you must be a small business, and that goes by the Small Business Administration definition, and that's based on number of employees or revenue, depending on the type of business you are. To me, it's really small and medium. It can be hundreds of employees and millions of dollars. If you need to find out if your business is a small business, we can help you with that. My guess is because you're here with the Small Business Development Center, most of you are probably already small businesses, and you know that. So these programs are open to commercial businesses and nonprofits, with the exception of the e-commerce program. And again, very important, these are not competitive grant programs. If you meet the requirements, you get the funding. So the first program is a program that Uzma mentioned a little bit earlier. This is the Small Business Lease Grant. Okay. In order to be eligible for this program, a business must sign a new 5-year lease, and it must be a ground floor space. Okay. The grant is a 20% rebate on the first 2 years lease payment. So that equates to about 2.5 months free rent. This is open to businesses or nonprofits entering a new lease. It also is open if a business amends their lease to add space. So if an existing business adds 250 square feet or more to their space, then they can become eligible. An important requirement for this program is that it must be a ground floor space. It can be ground floor retail, commercial, restaurant, it doesn't matter the type of business, but it has to be ground floor space. People sometimes ask, well, why? It was before my time, but from what I understand, when this program was developed, the NJEDA wanted to help fill some of those obvious vacancies on Main Street during COVID, and that's why they put in that ground floor requirement. So just remember, it has to be ground floor space, it must be a new lease, and it must be 5 years or longer. An important point on this is that a business can apply per location. So sometimes franchises open multiple locations, so they can apply per location. And also a business can apply as soon as the lease is executed. In fact, you have to apply within 12 months of executing or signing that lease. But the fact that you can apply as soon as a lease is executed can be really helpful for a small business because, as many of you may know, when you move in and you execute the lease, it's a while before your build out is done and you're ready to open your doors. So as soon as the lease is executed, you can apply. It doesn't matter if you're open and running. As long as you have the executed lease, you're eligible to apply. And again, it's a 20% grant over the first 2 years. So couple of requirements. You can apply per location. For all of our programs, you can't be in default on any economic development authority or other state assistance programs, okay? You have to have a tax clearance certificate, which just means that you're up to date on your taxes in the state of New Jersey, okay? There are 2 important requirements that go along with this lease grant program and also our improvement grant program. And that is, once your grant application is approved, you will be asked to sign a grant agreement and pay the $100 fee. Okay. At that point, a business must agree to stay in the space for 5 years and agree that moving forward from the time of signing that grant agreement, any employees will be paid 120% of minimum wage. Now, if it's a restaurant, it could be 120% of the tipped wage. Okay, if you are a small employer with 5 or less, it could be 120% of that small employer wage. But everybody on payroll must be paid 120% of minimum wage moving forward for a 5-year period in the case of the lease grant. Okay, so I like to point that out because that can be difficult for some types of small businesses. So that is really that requirement, and the requirement to stay in the space are the only requirements that go along with this. And again, that wage requirement doesn't go into effect until your grant is approved. What you're paying now doesn't matter. You just agree once you get that money moving forward, you're going to pay everybody on payroll 120% of minimum wage. Okay. So again, that's the Small Business Lease Grant. Just to summarize, has to be a new lease, or if it's a renewal, you have to add square footage, 250 square feet or more. It must be a 5-year term, and again, ground floor space. Okay, now we're going to move on to our broadest and most popular grant, and that is the Small Business Improvement Grant. This provides a grant of up to $50,000 for reimbursement for costs associated with improvements to your business location. Okay, this is really a reimbursement grant. Okay, so furniture, fixtures, equipment, any type of improvements to your physical location. Okay, this can include equipment specific to your type of business. So I'm going to give some examples because people always ask, is this eligible or is that eligible? So I'll give you kind of some high level examples. So say you sign a new lease and you're eligible for the lease grant, which is very exciting. And then you need to build out your space. Say you're a retail store or a restaurant, right? So any of that build out to the space, any of that construction, renovation, any equipment that you need. If you're putting in flooring, you're putting in a bathroom, you're putting in a kitchen, maybe you're buying kitchen equipment. If you're a manufacturer and you're buying manufacturer equipment, say you're a dentist and you have, all your dental equipment and your specialized chair and your x-ray machine, anything that you need to run your business and any improvements that you do to that space to support your business are eligible under this program for reimbursement. Now, again, it's a 50% reimbursement. I don't know if I said that before, so I'm going to say it again. It's a 50% reimbursement up to $50,000. So if you have $100,000 worth of expenses, you could be eligible to get back 50. If you have $50,000 worth of expenses, you could be eligible to get back 25,000. Okay. And again, it is a reimbursement grant. The project has to be completed and paid for prior to applying. When a business applies, they can look back 2 years. So it's a 2-year look back period from the date of application. And it's not necessarily project based. So the example I was giving before, someone's renovating their business, which would be one example. But in another example, perhaps you're a tech company and you bought a lot of servers and a lot of computers and a lot of monitors over the last 2 years. As long as if it's within that 2-year period, those items would be eligible for reimbursement at 50%. Okay. So what I always suggest to businesses is look at your books and look at those expenses and kind of see, what you've spent money on. Now, if you are thinking about doing a big project, my advice would be to look at all the requirements for the grant so you can make sure that all your paperwork is in order. It's a little bit easier if you know if you're going to apply for it. So let me see. Move on to the next page here. So this program is limited to one application per business per lifetime of the program. Okay, so one and done, we like to say. Now, if your business has more than one location under your EIN, you can combine those into one application. Okay, it's really based on your EIN. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about documentation. The documentation that is required is going to be tax returns, your business registration. They're going to ask for a payroll report, a permission, a form from your landlord saying that you can do the work, and then invoices and proof of payment. So for every item that you submit for reimbursement, we have to see the invoice and the corresponding proof of payment. That could be a canceled check, your credit card statement, a copy of your bank. If you own the building that your business operates out of, you are also eligible to apply for this program as your business. Landlords, however, are not eligible. Okay. Nonprofits are eligible to apply for this program. That nonprofit does have to operate as a business, meaning there must be some program revenue that the nonprofit demonstrates. Home-based businesses are also eligible to apply for this program. We always get lots of questions about home-based businesses, so I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So home-based businesses are eligible only for equipment needed only for their business. Okay, so in most cases, that's computer, printer, laptop, desk, chairs, that kind of thing. An example of a home-based business that applied for a rather sizable grant was a home-based recording studio. So this particular business built out their garage and made a recording studio. In that case, the soundproofing of the garage was not eligible. Okay, so anything affixed to the home is not eligible. However, the computer, soundboard, the microphones, the speakers, the laptop, all those other items were eligible for that home-based business. This program also has the time and wage requirement, just like the lease grant. So you must agree to stay in the space either 2 or 4 years, depending on the amount of your grant. and the wage requirement is the same. It will go into effect 120% of minimum wage once you sign the grant agreement. Another point on this program, as I said, it's our broadest and most popular program because it is open to any small business in New Jersey, to most nonprofits, to home-based businesses. As you can imagine, we get lots and lots of applications. So the good news is that there's ample funding in this program and applications are accepted on a rolling basis. Once we receive your application, they are reviewed in order that they were submitted. That at this point is going to take about 6 or 7 months before somebody gets to your application. So I'm just giving you a heads up there. Now, the really good news is that when you submit your application, the amount of funding that you are requesting is allocated towards your application. So that means even though you're patiently waiting, the funding is not going to run out while you're waiting patiently. Okay. Once a processor or reviewer gets to your application, it's really important that you get back to them right away. Now, I know you've been waiting patiently for, say, 5 months for somebody to get to you. Once it's assigned to a reviewer, they're required to turn it around as quickly as possible. So that means if somebody reaches out to you, and they will reach out to you and ask for, additional documentation, they'll have questions, you definitely want to get back to them. Okay. I have heard of instances where people they're super busy. And I know as small business owners, you're head down sometimes, and all you're doing is focusing on getting through the day because you're so busy at your business, right? I just want to say, if they reach out to you, please reply. Please let them know that you've gotten the email. And if you need more time, just say, hey, you know what? I need more time to get these items to you. Okay. Next up is my absolute most favorite program. This is the e-commerce support program. This is one of our newest programs. This provides free e-commerce and digital marketing services to restaurant, retail, and personal care businesses with a retail location. Okay, so this is a smaller subset of businesses that are eligible. This is not open to home-based businesses. This is not open to nonprofit. So again, only restaurant, retail, and personal care with a business location with regular business hours. In order to be eligible for this program, a customer needs to be able to walk into your location and purchase a product or service. Okay. This is a grant of services. It's not a grant of funding, and there's no online application through the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. There is no wage requirement and there's no time requirement, as we discussed for the other programs. This is my absolute favorite program for restaurants and small retail. Restaurants sometimes have a problem with that wage requirement. Understandably, this program has no wage requirement, and can really provide a lot of value to a restaurant. It could be, let me move on to the next slide so I can tell you about the things it can be. So website optimization, e-commerce platform, online ordering, online appointment booking, the ability to sell gift cards, sell, packages, sell different items, whatever your business might need in terms of e-commerce, this program can help you develop that. If you already have an e-commerce site, or you have they can build a new site, upgrade it, and then migrate it over. And again, this is absolutely no cost to the business owner as long as you meet the requirements. Okay. And again, restaurant, retail, and personal care with a physical business location. I came from a background of marketing, so I get really excited about this program because it includes really cool things like obviously the e-commerce platform design. It's also going to include a marketing plan, which includes search engine optimization. And search engine optimization is critical for a small business. That means when someone searches for you, you have the right things on your page that Google or whatever search engine directs them to your business. Okay. It also includes training, and I would say make sure that you ask for that. So the way it works is there's a list of consultants, and Michelle could maybe drop it in the chat at some point, or I can drop it in the chat later. So there's 7 consultants that are contracted with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority to provide these services for small businesses. So as a business owner, you would reach out to one of those consultants directly. Again, no application through the EDA. You can reach out to one of the consultants. They will verify your eligibility, which is pretty simple. I believe it's a tax return and a tax clearance certificate. You are the customer, and it is taxpayer dollars, so you really are the customer. It's your money in a way, right? So I would suggest doing a little bit of research on the consultant, seeing which one you think is a good fit for you. Ask to see some sites. I think some may do more retail, some may do more restaurants. I'm not really sure, but you have the choice of which consultant you want to work with. Once you figure out who you want to work with, they will do a proposal for you. And then once they'll bring that budget back to the EDA will sign off on it, and you will move forward with them. I've heard just some fabulous success stories with this program. Businesses are just thrilled. And again, if you are in one of the eligible types of businesses, you can stack this along with the other programs if you're eligible. Let's see, I think that's everything from me. We're going to move on to Michelle and business banking.
All right. Good morning, or I think it's good afternoon now.
Yes.
Again, I'm Michelle Osorio. I'm the liaison up in North Jersey, and I'm excited to share just a little bit about our loan programs that we have at the EDA. Please note that if you are interested, after I give the overview, if you are interested in any of these programs, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll get you connected to one of our business development officers who work in this department to further discuss your options. Okay, so next slide. All right, awesome. So I'm actually going to start with the New Jersey Capital Access Fund. We launched this back in December, and this is a really, really great program for a few things. It is a working capital loan, right, up to $250,000. And the way it works is it's anywhere between 3 to 5 year terms, right, up to $250,000. But it does something really great. So it helps support businesses who may not be able to get funding through the traditional route, right? Whether that's going through our traditional loan products or even through your banks, right? There is no specific collateral needed and no minimum credit score. Two of the biggest challenges a lot of times our small business owners face, right? So there is a fixed competitive interest rate for the life of the loan. You do need to be a business based in New Jersey, have fewer than 50 employees, and have an annual gross revenue less than 10 million. Okay, so what are the things you can use this loan for? Payroll, supplies, rent, utilities, marketing and advertising, right? If maybe you're a business who doesn't have a brick and mortar, but you're looking to get the word out about your business, you could take a loan for marketing and advertising, right? And other business expenses. I will say it does exclude equipment and machinery. Okay, so the interest rates are capped at 12%. They won't go any higher than that. So the way this works is you would visit njcapitalaccessfund.com and pre-apply. If you are matched with one of our nonprofit lenders, they would reach out and take over the process directly. We've been getting some really great feedback on this program. Turnaround time has been pretty quick. So again, njcapitalaccessfund.com to pre-apply and get matched with one of our nonprofit lenders. All right, next slide. So through the EDA, we do have 3 traditional loan products. That's a small business fund, direct loans, and premier lender program. So before I just go over each one, I just want to give a little bit of just some common denominators between all of the grants. We are a fixed asset lender, must have a fixed asset to secure any loan requests. All rates are fixed rates. We do have low cost financing using the 5, 7, or 10-year treasury rate as a starting rate and low cost fees with no prepayment penalties. We can provide financing for and nonprofit businesses. And just to keep in mind, we don't provide financing for any construction or renovation projects. So starting with our small business fund, it is for all New Jersey based small businesses in operation with at least 1 full year in business. and revenue less than 3 million. Okay. For nonprofits, you do have to be in operation for at least 3 full years. Now, when we say full year, it means being in business at least January through December and being able to provide at least one tax return. Okay. So the small business fund goes anywhere from 100,000 to 500,000. Moving on to the direct loans, that goes from 500,000 up to 2 million. And again, in business for at least 2 years and reporting a profit, and are committed to creating jobs, right? So we are the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. That is part of our mission, job creation. So please keep in mind that with the direct loans and Premier Lender program, for every $65,000 of our money, you do have to create or retain one job. Okay, and then moving on to the Premier Lender program, pretty similar to the direct loans, but this one is done in partnership with our banks. So we currently work with over 24 banks and actively working to grow that list. So if you are looking to purchase real estate acquisition, any heavy machinery equipment for your business, please consider the EDA an option. And that's it.
I'm back just for a quick update on one of our newest programs. It is called the Main Street Acquisition Program. It has been approved by our board, but it is not yet open. But I just want to highlight it because it's a fabulous program. It's a pilot grant product, will offer reimbursement of closing costs up to $50,000 to eligible New Jersey small business that will purchase a commercial property in which their building will operate from. So again, the purchase of an owner-operated building for your business to operate out of. So not landlords, but if you're going to operate your business out of the commercial property that you purchase, you're eligible for this grant program. Again, it's not open yet, but it will be reimbursement of closing costs up to $50,000. And this one is going to be open to small businesses and nonprofits. It's opening sometime in the second half of 2024. And if you're interested in finding out more, it is on our website. It's called the Main Street Acquisition Grant Program. So here we are again. Before we go on to question and answers, I just want to introduce you to our whole team. Okay, so on the left side is our business bankers, and on the right side is the small business liaisons. We are, the small business liaison team is roughly divided up by counties. So, and as I mentioned before, we each cover 7. If you don't know who to reach out to, you can reach out to, either Michelle or I, but generally we try to work by counties just because it's, simplifies things a little bit for us. And both Michelle and Alberto are bilingual. So if you are a native Spanish speaker, or you know somebody who would be more comfortable talking about the grants in Spanish, you can definitely go to either Michelle or Alberto. And then I'm going to go to questions in a second, but I just also want to point out, if you haven't learned enough today, Michelle and I and folks from the SBDC and the SBA and the Business Action Center will be in Mount Laurel tomorrow from 9 to 1. There's a resource fair as well as presentations going on throughout the day. So if you are from that area or you're really thirsty to learn more because it's Small Business Week, this is a great opportunity where there will be so many valuable resources in one location. And I'm going to go back to Michelle and our contact right there for questions.
All right, thank you so much, both Michelle and Kathy. We really appreciate you being here, and we seriously, we have such a good number of audience that, and then also thank you to our audience for being so attentive and being so, asking questions and sharing their comments and sharing where they're from. It's definitely had a good audience today. Let me just, before we go into the Q&A, let me just remind everyone, if in case there were people who joined late, is that this webinar is being recorded. So if you missed out on the first half or something like that, definitely go to our YouTube channel or our video library. The links are being shared, and you can just give it a rewatch, or you can just, go to the missed parts. If you're late, no worries, that's completely okay. You'll receive the slides as well once you complete the survey. And all of these slides, the presentation, entire presentation, this will be available once you complete the brief survey. The link is also being shared. Kathy and Michelle, both of you are getting great reviews and comments. Everyone's saying thank you. I'm sure you're able to see them in the chat. Everyone's saying thank you. It's great information. There is one comment where it says, can you repeat where you're going tomorrow? So if you can just go back to the slide.
Yes.
Oh,
And
yes.
I will ask everyone that, yes, the link is being shared and Michelle is will share that. But just take a quick picture if you're interested in attending this event. Michelle, is the link being shared?
I'm trying to get it really quick. So,
All right. No worries. So you can definitely share that in the chat as we do the Q&A. So Michelle will be sharing that. Take a quick picture of this if you're interested, just in case, and then we'll go back to the contact slide. All right, so a lot of the questions that were asked earlier, Michelle was very kind to answer them as Kathy was speaking. Thank you, Michelle. So if you feel that your question wasn't answered, just go through the answered list in the Q&A box and just go through them and then see if your question was answered. Otherwise, all the open questions that we have at the moment, we will go through them really quickly right now. All right, so in the order that we received them, Joseph asked, we are a small business under 6 employees, which puts us in a very different hourly pay rate. Are we required to pay the 120% of the small business hourly rate to be eligible for the improvement grant?
So great question. So the business is required to pay 120% of the applicable minimum wage. So it could be 120% of the regular minimum wage, it could be 120% of the tipped wage, or it could be 120% of that small employer or seasonal wage, if that's the wage that you pay.
Got it. Next question is from Francine. And Francine says, I have an LLC e-commerce home-based business I just started and have not begun to make money. Do I qualify for a grant?
So the answer is it depends. So as an LLC home-based business, you are eligible to apply for the Small Business Improvement Grant. So the fact that you are not making money yet, or you don't have anybody on payroll yet, maybe you don't have 3 years of taxes, those things do not disqualify you, and that kind of goes for everybody. Okay, if you are an LLC and there's no one on payroll yet, you are still eligible. Okay, so keep that in mind. Of course, we hope that if you get that grant, you're going to grow your business and you're going to hire people. Okay, but it does not make you ineligible. So your home-based business would be eligible for reimbursement on equipment or furniture that you need to run your business. But that is reimbursement, so you do have to lay out the money first. So that at this point as a home base, that would be the only thing you're eligible for, unless of course you were an innovation type business and you wanted to look into our innovation programs. That's a whole nother part of the EDA. But the specific programs that we talked about today, it would just be that Small Business Improvement Grant and the reimbursement grant.
Thank you. Next question is from Sylvia. Sylvia asks, how long do you have to be in business for to get the NJ Capital Access Fund?
So you do have to be in business at least 1 full year. So at least 1 full year to be able to show at least 1 tax return. You don't necessarily need to be located in a retail space. You can be home-based, but you do need that 1 year in business.
Got it. Thank you. Next question is from Karen. What is the best program for personal care small business?
Well, it would depend on the business, but I will say that my personal opinion is for a personal care, restaurant, or retail, that e-commerce program is a fabulous program because it gives you the ability to do online appointment booking, take payments online. It gives you an ability to really expand your online footprint at absolutely no cost to you without an online application through the EDA. no wage requirement and no time requirement. So that to me is our easiest program with like minimal strings attached. A small personal care business, if you had a storefront or retail location, which I'm assuming you are for that e-commerce program, then you are eligible for the other programs as well, and you can stack them. But that reimbursement grant program, the improvement grant, obviously you'd have to spend money on improvements before you can apply for reimbursement.
Awesome, thank you. Next question is from Kevin. Kevin says, my problems with obtaining loans in the past has been low credit score and no collateral. I have no revenue yet, but look to have in the second half of 2024. The Access Fund is desperately needed for my business to grow. Am I eligible?
So again, you do need to be 1 year in business, but you also need to be able to show the ability to repay those funds, right? So they are going to ask for some sort of tax return, your cash flow, anything that shows that you have the ability to repay those funds. So if you haven't had any revenue right now, my best suggestion would be reach out to us. We can get you some additional resources, not aside from the NJ Capital Access Fund. We do have something in the state called Community Development Financial Institutions, right? So they're nonprofit lenders. So we can put you in touch with one of them. You know, they do a number of different programs to support startup businesses.
Yep, exactly. If I can just quickly add to that, the NJ Access Capital Fund, so as that is an NJEDA program, we, under our SSBCI, and this might not be very well known, but under SSBCI award that we have, and when I say we, the NJSBDC, we are our program is complementary to the NJ Capital Access Fund. So we provide our services when if clients go and fill out the application for NJ Capital Access Fund, there is an option to request counseling services from the NJSBC. So when you request those, when you tick off that box and then you request counseling from NJSBC, we have clients who, you know, as Kevin said, low credit score, no collateral. We can certainly help with credit repair. We have webinars, we have workshops for credit repair, credit counseling. And if you speak to a consultant, we do have a dedicated specialty consultant for credit repair. We've been offering those workshops, but you can just come in, you can ask for that, and we'll certainly help you with that. So just make sure to request counseling from us and refer this webinar that you're coming from this webinar, and we'll assign you to an appropriate consultant who can help. All right, next question is from Medina. They ask, can a renegotiated new lease of an already occupied space still apply for the lease grant?
Michelle and I are both deciding who's going to talk. Go ahead, Michelle. You got it.
You're muted, Michelle.
Yes, there you go. Sorry. So if you've already been in the space and you're renegotiating your lease for additional years or with the same square footage, then no, because we would consider that a renewal. Now, if you are renegotiating the lease because you added square footage, then you may be able to apply for the lease grant, right? But you still have to take into consideration the requirements, right? The 5-year lease, if you're expanding that square footage, and then the street level space, and the minimum of 250 square feet. So I would just keep that in mind. But if you're just renegotiating for a better price, you're not adding square footage. If you've already been in the space for a number of years, that we consider that a renewal and you would not be eligible.
Thank you. Next question is from Victoria. Victoria says, although home-based hybrid services business, the corporation will be operating a retail e-commerce platform. So will the corp be able to stack the small business e-commerce support program?
No. So that e-commerce program is only open to businesses that have a retail location. And the reason for that is that program was developed to support small businesses in the wake of COVID. And it's also to give brick and mortar businesses an additional sales channel to help them thrive. So it's only open to businesses with a storefront or a retail location.
Got it. Thank you. Next question is from Santo. We are a home-based educational business transitioning to online courses. Am I right to say that we are not eligible for reimbursement for computer equipment we purchased last year?
You could be. So if you're a home-based business and your business is registered, of course, you would be eligible for the Small Business Improvement Grant, assuming you met all the requirements. So the Small Business Improvement Grant is open to home-based small businesses, and it is a reimbursement grant. So it is a 2-year look back from the day you apply. So that computer equipment could be eligible for reimbursement. Everything under that program must be paid for, work must be completed if it's work, or items have to be purchased. So it's always reimbursement. It's always a look back 2 years. And that those 2-year dates are really important. It has to be within that 2-year window from the date that you submit your application.
Yep. Next question is from Joanna. Is this grant money taxable as income?
Yes, sorry. I'm not sure about the tax treatment, but I believe that it is taxable from the federal government. I don't think it's taxable from New Jersey. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's the right answer. But it definitely is taxable.
All right, thank you. Next question is from Joseph. I am New York, they say NYS. I'm assuming that means New York State, but correct me if I'm wrong. I am NYS MBE SDVOB small business who moved to New Jersey. Do I have to register with New Jersey before I can participate in any of these programs? I have already started the process to be a New Jersey business.
Yes, you have to be registered in New Jersey. Your business has to be registered in New Jersey in order to be eligible to apply for any of these programs. Okay, and just to back up a little bit, the acronyms, if everybody doesn't know, MBE, Minority Business Enterprise, or Veteran Business Enterprise, or Woman-Owned Business Enterprises, those certifications can be very important for giving yourself access to opportunity. And that's something that I know the Small Business Development Center works with folks on. It's also something that you can learn about tomorrow if you are available to come to Mount Laurel.
For sure. Next question is from Karen. If a business has been in operating over a year in another state, but that business is moving to New Jersey, do they need to be doing business in New Jersey for 1 year before applying?
I don't think so. I want to say just reach out to us. We'll put you in touch with somebody in business banking. But if the business itself has been open and operating, I think you should be fine. I don't want to give you 100% yes. You need to be 1 year in business in New Jersey. I think as a whole, as the business as a whole can be, if you've already been in business, you should be okay. But just reach out to us and we can discuss further.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what Michelle said, for the grant programs, new businesses are eligible. Okay? You don't have to be in business for at least a year to apply for the grants. For loans, you do, but if you're a new business and you're signing for example, a new lease, you would be eligible to apply for the Small Business Lease Program. So you don't have to have a certain amount of time in order to be eligible for our grant programs. So that's another advantage of them, that they do help businesses in the very early stages when that extra working capital can be helpful.
Thank you. I'll take this question. Cynthia said, where are you located? You invited one to come in so that you can connect with a counselor for startup nonprofit counseling. Cynthia, so we have 10 regional centers, and all those 10 regional centers have various locations, as we are hosted by educational institutions and other partners. So if you go to njsbdc.com, these links have been shared in the chat. We'll put them again. NJSBDC.com. As you go to the website, you'll immediately see a little section for request counseling. So if you're a New Jersey resident or a small business, then all you have to do is put in your email, select the county that you're from, and your request will be directed to an appropriate regional center servicing that area, and you'll be connected with a counselor. All
Can you
right.
go back to the slide with all of our contacts,
Yes,
Kathy?
I just saw that. Yep. Wait, go the wrong way. And somebody also asked, I just was reading about a mobile business. So that's a little bit of a gray area, but it's like a food truck or a mobile business is not eligible. You would be considered to be a home-based business unless you were operating out of a physical location, but that mobile business is not considered to be a business location.
If I can just piggyback off
Mhm,
that question, the mobile business, and you brought up food trucks, Kathy.
mhm.
A lot of times I've noticed that we do get a lot of questions on certain webinars on, hey, if I'm a food truck, and that, that was like sort of a hot thing going on in the past 2, 3 years, especially like, food trucks and things like that. So if they're a food truck, are there any grant or loan programs specifically available for any mobile businesses?
Not that I know of. So a mobile food truck, if it's just a food truck business, then their business has to be registered somewhere. So that business is probably registered to their home address. So then they would be considered to be a home-based business. So then they're eligible for things that are at that home. So things like their computer and their laptop and things like that, but not the food truck. We get that question a lot, and I apologize. I will point out anybody interested in food truck business, the New Jersey Business Action Center has these guides to doing business, and there actually is like, so you want to start a food truck. There's a great guide that tells you everything that you need to know about that business. I know I'm not answering the question about grants, but that's just a resource that I stumbled upon one day, and I just thought I'd share it. But yeah, so there isn't really anything specific in our programs for mobile businesses.
Got it. Thank you. And I see that we don't have any more questions, so I will assume that we are done with our Q&A session. And Michelle, you've done a great job. You've made our lives so much easier by typing in all the answers.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for doing that, by the way. All right, so again, a reminder that, this webinar is being recorded. It will be available on our YouTube channel as well as our video library. I can quickly show that. And excuse me, I'm blanking for a moment. And the slides that you would like to that Michelle and Kathy presented on, they will be available to you. We can't send them out. You have to complete a brief survey, and they will be available. All right, so I am going to start sharing my screen. Again, we are almost at the 1 p.m. mark. So let me just quickly share with everybody where you can go for our video library. I know there were a couple of questions. So quickly going through these, NJSBDC.com. This is our website. You can go through them. We have a lot of different resources, whether it's podcast or a show that we're launching soon. Stay tuned. We have blog resources and tool hubs and things like that. Where you go for our video library is this. There is tons and tons and tons of webinars because we've been doing this for a couple of years now. And statewide events are also available on this website here. You will find that we have events and workshops in English and Spanish, and we also have consultants who are Spanish speaking. All you have to do is just let us know, request one, and then someone will reach out and connect you to the right counselor. All right, and this is where we started. This is where we're ending. So next Tuesday, we've been doing how to start a successful business. Unfortunately, we're not having a webinar on that, a live webinar on Tuesday. We will have a replay available, and you can watch that. It will be at the same time, however, not a live webinar. So no live chat, no live support. All right, and that concludes our webinar today. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much, Kathy. Any last
Thank
words that you'd
you.
like to share?
We hope to see you tomorrow. We hope you can make it. We'd love to meet you in person. Please come learn about all the wonderful programs and resources that the EDA has to offer.
Yes, and happy Small Business Week to all of you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join us. If there's any questions that we didn't answer, just shoot us an email. We probably won't get back to you tomorrow because it's a busy week, but we will get back to you and follow up. And again, thanks so much for joining us, and please share this information. These particular programs that we talked about, these specific programs, have ample funding and applications are accepted on a rolling basis. That's a really important message because sometimes some of our programs open and close. Some of our programs are competitive. These programs are not. These have ample funding and applications are accepted on a rolling basis. So please share. Thank you.
You guys have been lovely speakers, and our audience has also been very lovely. So thank you so much. We've helped 15,000 plus small businesses grow. No cost small business consulting, training and events just like this one at no cost, counseling at no cost, exclusive small business resources. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that we'll see you, Michelle and Kathy will see you at the event tomorrow if you're attending. I will see you next Thursday for our webinar. All right, bye. Take care.
Bye.